33 spine-chilling tales of eerie rain, forbidden horror revealed to keep you awake tonight. The rain fell like a cold, relentless whisper over the quaint town of Maplewood. Each droplet seemed to carry a secret, an ancient truth begging to be unleashed. You could almost hear it, the hushed hush of generations past, mingling with the soft patter against the pavement. Emma, a determined 30-year-old with a fierce heart, felt the town tremble beneath her feet. This wasn't just rain, it was the beginning of something far darker. Oddly heavy and strangely colored, it turned the streets into muddy rivers and cast a morose shadow over the annual Harvest Festival, an event that typically brought joy and laughter. As she maneuvered through the swirling puddles with her two young children, Emily's emerald eyes wide with fear and Jack's tiny hands clutched tightly around hers, she could sense the heat of suspicion rising among neighbors. The townsfolk gossiped, their murmurs slithering through the air like a slinking serpent. "Something's not right," they said, their voices low. "Maybe it's the old Smith family, maybe it's cursed." It felt as though the very essence of Maplewood was unraveling, revealing long-buried secrets ready to rise to the surface. With each passing day, the rain seemed to scoop up the town's hidden sorrows. Memories that had long been suppressed bubbled back up like rotting fruit. Emma didn't need to be told that something sinister lurked just beyond the edges of the storm. It had begun with precipitation, but now it felt like the world's weight on her shoulders. "We can't let this ruin the festival," she told herself fiercely. "This is for Emily and Jack." But deep within, a tight fist of dread constricted her heart as she considered what they might unearth. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With newfound determination, Emma sought the heart of the rain's origin. It was then that the first flash of panic rushed over her. Old family photos revealed secrets. Her family had been tied to Maplewood since its founding, holding roots steeped in troubled history. Whispers echoed in her mind. What if I'm not who I thought I was? What if this rain is a revenge for actions long forgotten? The wind screeched outside, and the very walls of her home felt alive, pressing down on her like a weight she could barely bear. As the storm's fury escalated, Emma called upon her neighbors to confront the truth that loomed just out of reach. Together, they faced the awakening shadows of their pasts. Old grievances flared into flames. But just as the churning rain began to clear, Emma stumbled upon a crumpled letter buried beneath her family's keepsakes. It hinted at a curse tied to her bloodline, one that could unleash chaos or save them all from an eternity of misery. With the festival only days away, would Emma seize this opportunity to dissolve the curse? Or would Maplewood drown in its own secrets, forever shackled by reigning ghosts that refused to let go? The reflection of the harvest moon glinted through the window, illuminating her path, but uncertainty clung to her like the unrelenting drizzle. What price would she pay to break free? The wind howled like a banshee, rattling the shutters against the walls of Emma's old house, a sound so primal that it sent shivers down her spine. The letter lay open on the kitchen table, its words burning in her mind. "The rain is a reflection of blood that binds." What did that even mean? Emma clutched the edges of the table, her breath quickening. Outside, shadows danced in the flickering street lamps. She could see neighbors peering through their windows, their faces as pale as the ghostly light. Emma felt a weight of dread so thick it nearly suffocated her. Was this rain summoning something monstrous from the past? Voices swirled like the rain itself, creeping into her thoughts. "Mommy, what does the letter say?" Emily broke the silence, her small hand reaching to touch the paper. Jack clung to her side, wide-eyed. Emma forced a smile, trying to mask her fear. Just some old family stuff, sweetie. Nothing to worry about. But inside, dread clawed at her. What if it was too late to protect them? The storm intensified, raindrops driving against the roof like 1,000 desperate fingers. Emma knew she couldn't keep this burden bottled up. They needed to know the truth together. They would face whatever darkness awaited them. As she opened the door, rain lashed against her skin, cold and biting. The air was thick, heavy with the promise of revelation. Stay close, she instructed firmly, leading her children into the night, the glow of the street lamps illuminating their path like fragile beacons. Each step took them deeper into the heart of Maplewood, where the whispers grew louder, seeping from every shadowed corner. The town square, a gathering had formed. Friends and enemies, neighbors and distant relatives stared at one another, faces drawn tight with uncertainty. Emma felt the tension and unseen force connecting them all. Emma! Wilfred, the town historian, stepped forward, his voice a gravelly tremble. Have you found it? The letter? How do you know about the letter? Emma asked, a knot of unease tightening in her stomach. I have feared this for years, he replied, glancing nervously at the sky. The rain, it's a reckoning for those who have forgotten their past. His weathered hand shook. The Smiths, their sins run deep. What sins? The urgency in her voice rang clear, chilling the air. Before he could respond, a crack of lightning cut through the night. Everyone jumped, and Emma's heart raced. The storm seemed to become alive, an entity made of thunder and rain, demanding acknowledgement. The crowd murmured, fear threading through their voices. Enough! Emma yelled, feeling her heart pound wildly. Listen! This rain is not just a curse. It's our chance to face what we've hidden, to break these chains that bind us. But just then, the sky erupted as if reacting to her words. Wind howled harder, and with each flash of lightning, Emma felt something dark and ancient stir in the depths of Maplewood. Help! A scream pierced the air, a high, resonant cry that sent chills through the crowd. They turned in unison, eyes wide, fear-stricken, and there, at the edge of the square, a figure emerged from the depths of the rain, a silhouette outlined against the chaos, impossibly tall and haunting, draped in soaked robes that glimmered like pools of midnight. What had they awakened? As the figure stepped forward, its face obscured, Emma could only stare, her heart drumming louder than the rain. Would they stand united against this specter of the past, or would the storm consume them all? The truth felt impossibly close, yet a world away, and then, as if the darkness had ears, the figure spoke, its voice a low rasp that suffocated the air. You've disturbed the forgotten. There will be a reckoning. Emma's blood ran cold. The echoes of the past had awakened, and now they demanded restitution. Would she find the strength to confront her lineage, or was Maplewood doomed to remain a prisoner of its own history? As the electricity of the storm ignited tension, the crowd held its breath, frozen, waiting for the next move in a sinister game set in motion long ago. Something had changed as rain fell relentlessly, and Emma knew this was just the beginning. The figure loomed in the downpour, robes swirling like shadows in the night. Fear gripped the townsfolk, their bodies instinctively recoiling, yet Emma found herself rooted in place. The air shimmered with energy, thickening around her. She glanced at Emily and Jack, their wide eyes reflecting the flickering street lamps, and the haunting silhouette before them. Who are you? Emma managed, her voice shaky but steady, trying to embody the bravery she desperately needed. The figure stepped closer, rain soaking into the fabric, revealing a face obscured by darkness. A voice surged from the depths of its hood, a chilling whisper that sliced through the storm. I am the keeper of secrets. You called forth what you do not understand. Gulping, Emma felt a tremor of recognition crawl up her spine. The keeper? Tales spun out in scared whispers filled her childhood. a cautionary figure woven into the fabric of Maplewood folklore. Her heart raced. "What do you want?" "Restitution," it replied, the word heavy and laden with malice. From the thrumming shadows behind the figure, other shapes began to emerge, each more indistinct than the last. Disfigured silhouettes rose, faces twisted with sorrow and anger. They moved in silence, an army of the forgotten, awakening to the storm as fury. The assembled crowd gasped, shivering with fear. "What sins, Wilfred?" A deep voice rose from the back, a neighbor's frantic reply. "What have we done? What are these spirits?" Wilfred's eyes darted across the gathering. The Smiths were powerful. They buried their mistakes, but the past never forgets, and sooner or later it demands payment. Emma clenched her fists, gathering her courage as the fear pooled in the pit of her stomach. The connection between their collective horror and her family history felt undeniable. "We can't let this fear control us. We must confront it." The murmurs grew louder, dividing the crowd. Some shouted in anger, others in despair. The keeper raised a ghostly hand, silencing them. "Your fear feeds them," it hissed, "but it is your bloodlines that will bind you or break you." Jack pulled on Emma's coat, stealing her focus. "Mommy, I'm scared." "Stay close," she whispered, her heart racing. "I won't let anything happen to you." The keeper turned its attention back to her, eyes piercing like daggers. "You think you can protect them?" it questioned, voice dripping with disdain. "What of your blood, Emma? The sins run deeper than you know." Emma's mind spun. The letter, the hidden family history, the strange whispers, it all converged in this moment. "What do you mean?" she demanded, her voice stronger now, steady in the storm. "A choice looms," it said cryptically, the figure shifting slightly, revealing an arm that pointed toward the rain-soaked depths of the town. "Embrace the truth, or let the storm take what is yours." Lightning crackled, illuminating the tormented faces behind the keeper, betrayed souls etched in anguish. Emma's heart pounded, drowning out the chaos of the storm. This wasn't just about the town. It was about her family, the roots that gripped the foundation of everything she loved and knew. "What truth?" she shouted, defiantly, her voice piercing through the cacophony. The keeper leaned closer, the air thick with unspoken revelations. "The truth you have buried, and the blood that you cannot escape." With that, the weight of history crashed down on her. All eyes turned to Emma, waiting for her to lead. Her heart raced, the responsibility heavy on her chest. Could she face the truth of her lineage? Or would she forsake it, leaving Maplewood to drown in its own legacy? As thunder cracked overhead, the echoes of the past screamed for justice, and Emma realized she now stood at the precipice of her family's darkest secrets. There was no turning back. "What have I awakened?" she whispered, fear creeping into her bones. And before she could grasp the enormity of her question, the storm surged, and the shadows reached for her. In that instant, the figures erupted into a swirling frenzy, the air buzzing with demands for acknowledgement. Was she ready to uncover the truth, even if it meant risking everything? How far would the storm take her? As darkness began to close in around her, the night echoed a foreboding promise. This wasn't just a storm. It was the reckoning. And Emma knew, deep in her heart, that whatever secrets lay buried in Maplewood would soon claw their way to the surface. Emma felt the shadows unravel around her, swirling like a tempest in her core. The dark figures moved closer, whispering secrets and half-forgotten tales filled with pain. A crescendo of haunting voices pierced the air, crying for release. "Let us speak," one of them shrieked, a twisted visage now clear in the flickering light. Its eyes were sunken, brimming with sorrow. "Let us tell the tale of the sins that bind you." Emma's breath quickened as she tried to step back, but the ground seemed to tremble beneath her feet. The wet earth, heavy with stories, clung to her shoes. Jack whimpered at her side, his small fingers gripping her tightly. "Mommy, I want to go home." Her heart twisted painfully. "I know, baby, but I have to do this." She could feel the weight of the crowd's anticipation pressing down on her. They were looking to her, the town's hope intertwined with her family's reckoning. "Your bloodline runs thick with secrets." The keeper thundered again, its voice wrapping around the murmurs of the townsfolk. "Face what you cannot ignore, face it now, or perish under the weight of history." Lightning flashed above, the spectre's arm extending toward the gnarled oak in the town square. Emma's eyes followed the gesture. The old tree, standing stoic against the storm, loomed like a sentinel watching over their fates. "It is there," the figure commanded. "Find the truth hidden within its roots. There lies the key to your reckoning." Every instinct in her told her to flee, yet a strange urge pulled her toward that tree. She could almost hear whispers beckoning her closer, promising knowledge with each gust of wind. With a determined nod, Emma stepped forward, feeling the energy surge around her. "What if you find nothing?" A voice broke through the crowd, trembling with doubt. It was Wilfred, standing lost and bewildered. "What if it destroys you?" "Then I want to be the first," Emma replied, more to herself than to him, her heart thudding in her chest. The community stood shrouded in uncertainty, some shaking their heads, others clutching loved ones tight. Emma was alone now, armed only with a flickering spark of courage. The air crackled with tension as she reached the tree. She could see the lines in its bark, twisting and gnarled, just like the secrets her family had buried. She knelt down, fingers trembling as she caressed the damp earth at its base. Something was buried there. She could feel it in her bones, an energy thrumming like an echo from the past. "Dig!" the keeper commanded, its voice a wave crashing against her resolve. With shaking hands, Emma began to scoop away the soil, rain drenching her. Each handful felt like a plea from the spirits, each clump like a weight lifting from her shoulders. The cries from the shadows crescendoed, mingling with the storm, pushing her forward. Suddenly, her fingers grazed something solid. A small box, wooden and weather-worn, its corners stained by decades of rain. Emma gasped, her heart racing. What had she unearthed? The keeper loomed above, watching with a sinister grin. "Open it! Let the past flow free." The world around her blurred, fear and anticipation mingling into a potent mix. She knew she stood at the edge of revelation, but would it grant her the power to break the chains of history? Or would it shatter the very foundation of her existence? "Should I?" She hesitated, a tremor in her voice. "The choice is yours," the keeper replied with chilling finality, "but the storm rages on. The time of reckoning has come." And as the winds howled louder, Emma released a shaky breath. Would she be brave enough to confront whatever truth lay within? As she unlatched the box, the storm intensified, sending a shudder through the ground. Then the unthinkable happened. A blinding flash of light erupted from within, illuminating the darkness, and she braced for what was to come. The flash engulfed her in a vortex of brightness, painting the whole square in hues of blinding white. Emma felt her heart stutter as the warmth enveloped her, chased by a cold dread. The voices of the shadows fell silent, suspended in time. Jack's grip loosened as he stared wide-eyed, and she felt a shiver run down her spine. As the light dimmed, she squinted through the haze and gasped. The box now lay open at her feet, and from within, smoke curled and twisted like tendrils of a dark memory drifting free. But it wasn't just smoke. Faces emerged briefly, swirling in a tapestry of agony, joy, and regret. They flickered in and out, eyes wide with the depth of stories longing to be told. "Oh God, what have I done?" Emma whispered, her voice cracking as panic clawed at her throat. The keeper's laughter echoed, rich with triumph. "You've unleashed what should have remained chained, girl. The truth is never easy." With each breath she took, A smell like damp earth and decay choked her. She staggered back, pulling Jack close as the ground shivered beneath him, cracking like an ancient seal. Emma could hear the whispers again, louder now, sharper like shards of glass slicing through the air. They filled her ears with frenetic urgency. "Help us! Remember us!" The winds lashed around her, and the crowd lurched forward, an anxious wave swaying toward the unfolding chaos. Wilfred's face twisted in fear, eyes darting wildly as he shouted, "Emma! Close it! Make it stop!" But Emma couldn't tear her gaze away. Something stirred inside her, a curiosity mixed with desperation. With trembling hands, she reached deeper into the box. An object lay nestled in the bottom. It was cold and metallic, a key, its edges sharp, imbued with an unsettling power. As she pulled it free, the air froze, and for a heartbeat, the world around her held its breath. Suddenly, the figures in the smoke coalesced, their faces clearer now, those of her ancestors, lost souls with expressions of horror and urgency. They reached out, trying to convey a message. Something about a place, a deep-rooted betrayal long buried beneath the town's proud history. "You must find it. You must uncover the truth." Their voices melded into one, a powerful chant filled with a raw desperation that raised the hair on her arms. Just then, the keeper loomed forward, its voice booming, "You hold the key, Emma. But be wary, for the truth comes with a price. Choose wisely, for you cannot unsee what you will discover." Heart racing, Emma looked at the townsfolk, who were now watching in shock, their faces pale, and eyes wide with fear. She could see the conflict in their expressions, hope mixed with dread, as the realization sank in that she was the only one capable of confronting the sins of their past. "Can I truly change anything?" she wondered aloud, her voice trembling. "What if the truth destroys everything I know?" The storm outside rumbled ominously, echoing her fear, but there was no turning back. The key burned in her hand, pulsating with an energy that felt alive. As she turned to face the gnarled old oak, a sense of purpose washed over her like rain drenching the earth. Emma felt an unshakable drive propel her forward. She needed to find where this key belonged, to unearth the deeper truths hidden in the roots of their suffering. With a last look at Jack, who stood fearful yet steadfast, she whispered, "I have to do this." Taking a deep breath, she closed her eyes and summoned every ounce of courage. The key glowed in her palm, illuminating the darkness as she began to walk toward the wall of shadows. But before she could take another step, the dramatic air shifted. With a flicker of lightning, the world around them twisted violently. The keeper's laughter echoed through the storm. "It's not just the truth you're after, dear Emma. It's about to reveal a darkness you never anticipated." What lay ahead remained uncertain, but she was tethered to the promise of revelation. Had she just opened Pandora's box? The winds howled like lost souls as she pressed forward, heart pounding. What truth awaited her beneath the surface, and would it truly set her free or seal her fate forever? The air crackled with tension, electric and palpable. Emma took a hesitant step toward the looming shadows, the key pulsating in her palm like a heartbeat. With each passing moment, the whispers grew louder, merging into a symphony of torment and longing. "Remember us. Uncover the truth." They pressed against her, urging her forward, but fear gnawed at her resolve. Jack's hand clutched her arm, his breath hitching in his throat. "Emma, please, we can just leave. We don't have to do this." "No," she shot back, her voice sharper than intended. But the key felt like a torch igniting something deep within her. "This is bigger than us, Jack. I need to know." The wind howled as if angry at her determination, swirling around, tossing debris from the ancient oak. Emma felt her heart racing. The town's history unfolded in her memory with chaos and pain, banners raised for battles, mournful dirges at forgotten graves. The faces in the smoke weren't just strangers. They were family, echoes of blood and bone. "Stand back," Emma called, her resolve shimmering like the key in her hand. The shadows writhed, coalescing into shapes that hinted at secrets long concealed. It was time to enter the fray. With a sudden push of will, she thrust the key toward the grove, murmuring an invocation that danced on her lips, a prayer, a plea. The ground trembled as if the very earth responded, allowing her entrance into a door unseen. A blinding shimmer enveloped her, and she stumbled forward through an opening in the thick shadows as the whispers crescendoed. Scenes flashed vividly before her, swirling like a film reel, unspooling betrayal, grief, redemption. Memories not her own, but resonant. Faces she half recognized, moments she could almost touch. "Emma!" Jack's voice echoed faintly, broken with urgency. But she pressed onward, drawn by an unseen force, by the promise of clarity amidst chaos. Her breath caught as she found herself in a hidden clearing, a place lit by an unnatural glow. Ghostly figures drifted among twisted remnants of a society that had vanished, yet their pain lingered in the air. An overwhelming sense of loss engulfed her, deeper than anything she could fathom. Here we are," they cried, the vision swirling faster, coalescing into a central figure, a woman with hollow eyes, face twisted by agony. "You must know. Emma, what do you want from me?" she yelled, her voice a mix of fear and desperation. "To remember. To restore," the apparitions pleaded, reaching out their translucent hands. "The corruption runs deeper than you realize. What was taken must be returned." Confusion crashed over her like waves in a storm, each word pressing down like the weight of centuries. "But how?" she gasped, the urgency palpable in her chest. "What can I do?" The figure's eyes shone with desperate intensity. "Find the heart of our darkness. Only then can peace return or eternal torment reign." Just as she grappled with the enormity of their words, the keeper's laughter erupted from the shadows, chilling her to the bone. "Keep searching, dear Emma. But do not be naive. Not all truths lead to salvation." Before she could respond, the tranquility shattered. The wind picked up, howling and whipping around her, forcing her to shield her eyes. The figures began to flicker, their desperate whispers slipping through her grasp. "Find it, find the truth, reveal the darkness." Emma stumbled back through the treacherous veil, heart racing, mind swirling with revelations. She emerged back into the sharp gusts of the town square, Jack at her side, confusion and fear etched across his features. The key was still warm in her palm, now tinged with its own mysteries. "What just happened?" he demanded, panting, his gaze darting around as if the shadows might leap from the corners. "I don't know," she breathed, fear clawing at her throat, but clarity was dawning. The truth was just within reach. "But I think I know where to start looking." As her certainty grew, she turned her gaze toward the town's forgotten outskirts, where tales of betrayal whispered through the ages like autumn leaves caught in a storm. "We find the heart of their darkness, Jack." But before they could move, a shadow lunged past, a silhouette weaving through the throng of townsfolk. Emma tensed. Something dark was already on her trail. "Emma, we need to go," Jack urged, eyes wide with a mix of awe and fear. "Not yet," she replied, eyes narrowing as curiosity wrapped around her heart like a snake. "It's time to uncover what the town has hidden for too long." And just as the storm settled into a fraught stillness, a pair of dark eyes locked onto hers from across the square. "You don't know what you're messing with, girl," the figure called, voice emerging like a chill, carving its warning into the night. Emma's heart pounded. What other secrets lay buried in the shadows? And who would come forward next to defend or destroy the truth she sought? Emma blinked, her mind racing as the figure stepped into the dim glow of the streetlight. The flickering bulb illuminated a face marked by shadows and scars, a reflection of the very darkness that loomed over the town. There was something familiar in that penetrating gaze, an unshakable feeling that connected her to this stranger. "Who are you?" she forced out, trying to mask the tremor in her voice. "Someone who knows your fate," the figure replied, stepping closer, the shadows clinging to his form like a second skin. "I'm here to help, but you might not like where that leads you." Jack shifted beside her, his eyes darting nervously. "Emma, we should be going. We can't trust him." But Emma felt a magnetic pull toward the stranger. "Help me with what?" she asked, determination inflating her chest despite the chill running down her spine. "The heart of the darkness you seek is more vicious than you think." The stranger's voice dropped to a whisper that hung in the air. "You'll come face to face with what the town has buried. Not just secrets, but blood." "Blood?" Jack echoed, his voice incredulous. "You mean there has been murder?" The figure nodded slowly, each motion full of an inherent weight. "And more. It's a legacy of betrayal woven into the very roots of this place. The key you hold, it's both a tool and a curse. It can ravage or heal, depending on the hands that wield it." Jack's grip tightened on Emma's arm, his anxiety radiating through his touch. "Emma, we have to go. This isn't right." But Emma's resolve only hardened. "I can't just walk away, Jack. I need to know. We need to know." The stranger watched her intensely, an inscrutable expression on his face. "Then come with me. But understand this. Once you begin this journey, there's no turning back." He turned abruptly, moving with a fluid grace around corners, before vanishing into the shadows of the alley. Emma felt the pulse of the key in her palm, as if it were urging her to follow. "Emma!" Jack hissed. "We can't trust him. What if he is leading us into a trap?" "Maybe it is a trap," she replied, urgency lacing her voice. "But what if it's the chance to lay all of this to rest? We can't run forever. Someone needs to confront this darkness." As hesitance churned in his eyes, Emma started after the figure. The street behind her loomed dark and forbidding, yet the prospect of truth compelled her onward. The further she walked, the more palpable the tension became, as if the world held its breath with each step. She rounded the corner just in time to see the stranger's silhouette slip into a decrepit building at the edge of town. It loomed, a relic of forgotten days, coated in ivy and shattered glass, a tangible representation of the town's secrets. "Wait!" she called, glancing back at Jack, whose face reflected both alarm and the instinct to flee. "This is our chance, Jack. We have to go inside." The echoes of the whispers stirred in the air, louder now, tugging at Emma's heart. "Find the truth," Jack hesitated, fear mingling with a flicker of curiosity. "What if it's too late? Better to find out now than live in fear." She reached for his hand, pulling him toward the threshold. As they stepped forward, darkness pulled inside and wrapped around them like smoke. The walls whispered stories of despair, the air thick with memories, each corner humming with dread and anticipation. Shadows danced ominously just out of sight. What do we do now?" Jack asked, barely above a whisper, but before Emma could respond, a loud crash echoed from deeper within the building, a sound that splintered the silence and sent shivers racing down her spine. The cries of the past surged stronger, calling, demanding she step further into the unknown. "Emma! We need to leave," Jack said sharply, stepping back. But she stood firm, heart racing. "No. We're not leaving, not now." The walls vibrated with that familiar low hum, the whispers growing louder. "Find the heart, find the truth." The finale of the unknown loomed before them. And as they approached the source of the crash, Emma felt the key's heat surge, guiding her. Whatever answers awaited her, they were intertwined with the shadows lurking just out of reach. But as they neared the source of the sound, another silhouette materialized, this one menacing, eyes gleaming with malice. "You think you can uncover our secrets?" Think again. With pulse racing and fear at their backs, Emma felt the darkness closing in. Would she face the truth or succumb to the shadows that had haunted her town for so long? But before she could grasp her next move, a deafening scream echoed through the halls, shaking her resolve. What was hidden in the heart of the darkness was more than she had ever anticipated. Emma? Jack's voice trembled as their world teetered at the brink. And just like that, the next chapter awaited, plunging deeper into the unthinkable truth. The darkness enveloped them like a shroud, thick and suffocating. The sudden scream echoed again, an agonizing wail that reverberated off the cracked walls, clawing at Emma's insides. Jack's grip tightened, but Emma felt a surge of defiance. This was the moment, the defining instant she had been waiting for. "Stay close," she urged, forcing herself forward despite Jack's reluctance. Each step deeper into the building sent ripples of fear coursing through her. But the key in her pocket pulsed, hot and insistent, as if it recognized the call to action. "We've come too far to turn back now." With determination, they crept toward the source of the noise. The corridor twisted, splattered with shadows that taunted their advance, whispering unforgivable secrets of the past. Old photographs hung on the walls, faces distorted by time, each one a silent witness to the horrors held within. Emma met the eyes of one faded image, a young girl with a striking resemblance to herself. "Emma," Jack whispered, his voice barely audible over the beating of her heart. "This is wrong. We shouldn't be here." Ignoring his plea, she pressed on, a compulsion she could no longer deny guiding her deeper. The echo of sobs filled the air, a mournful lament that seemed to seep from the very walls, saturating the atmosphere with lost hopes. Suddenly, the floor creaked ominously underfoot, a stark reminder of the building's decay. Emma froze. Was there something lurking just beyond perception? Her breath caught, as if the air around her conspired against them. "Did you hear that?" she whispered, but Jack nodded, eyes wide, fear etched across his face. A shuffle came from the shadows ahead, followed by a distinct thud. Then silence. "There is something in there," Jack urged, urgency brimming from him, but Emma's heart raced with a different tune. A morbid curiosity was igniting within her. The wailing intensifying drew her in. As they rounded the corner, the scene that greeted them pushed her back against the wall. In the dim light, the room unfolded like a nightmare. On the floor lay old newspaper clippings scattered about, yellowed with age, covering the startling history of her town. Each headline screamed of tragedy, disappearances, unsolved murders, and eerie occurrences that sent chills racing down her spine. But it wasn't the articles that made her gasp. It was the figure kneeling in the center of the room. Cloaked in tattered fabric, hair obscured their face. Emma's pulse quickened anew, and instinct gripped her lungs. "Leave the figure," rasped, the voice a ghastly whisper that curdled the air. "You don't understand what you're meddling with." "Who are you?" Emma stammered, a mix of dread and fascination coursing through her veins. She took a careful step forward, but Jack yanked her back. "We need to go. Now," he insisted, pulling at her arm. "No." Emma shot back, something deep inside her stirring. "We need to know. Dangerous things lie here," the figure spoke again, each word barely breaking through raspy breaths. "Ghosts of the past will haunt you if you remain." Jack's face drained of color, his back pressing against the wall, eyes darting around as if seeking an escape. "Emma, we need to leave." The figure lifted its head, revealing eyes hollow and glistening, pools of suffering. "You hold the key. But you must be willing to bear its price." "What price?" Emma whispered, captivated. Blood, the word hung in the air, ringing with a sinister promise. "Trace the shadows to find the truth, but know this: once you uncover it, you can never unsee." Just as Emma opened her mouth to ask what it all meant, a thunderous crash echoed in the room, shaking the structure and sending dust cascading from above. Jack screamed, dragging her back toward the door, but Emma felt rooted, unable to look away from the figure the secrets it held. Pledge yourself fully, or risks eternal shadows, the figure warned, voice rising above the chaos. But before Emma could respond, the ceiling above them crumbled. In that heartbeat, the choice was made for her. A heavy beam fell, splintering through the air toward them, and everything shifted into chaos. "Run!" Jack shouted, adrenaline pumping. As they turned to flee, the figure's voice rang out once more, lingering in the dust-filled air. "Find the heart before it finds you." And with that, as the darkness threatened to engulf them, Emma felt the key in her pocket vibrate wildly. What lay beyond the threshold was a mystery deeper than she had anticipated. What had she awakened? And could they truly escape the past, or was the darkness just beginning to unfold? Emma's heart raced as she and Jack bolted through the splintered doorway. The oppressive darkness behind them seemed to reach out, grasping at their heels like desperate hands. Dust swirled in the air, thick and suffocating, blurring their vision as they stumbled into the hallway. Every instinct screamed to run, but Emma's curiosity gnawed at her, urging her to understand what they had just been confronted with. "Emma, we can't stop. We have to get out of here." Jack's voice shook, panic rising as he pulled her toward the exit. Emma could barely hear him over the thundering in her chest, the taste of adrenaline sharp on her tongue. Yet, a part of her resisted, captivated by thoughts of the cloaked figure's haunting words. "Wait! What if there's more?" she gasped, nearly torn between fear and the intoxicating allure of the unknown. What if she didn't just want to escape, but felt a pull to discover the heart of this darkness, whatever that might mean? "No!" Jack exclaimed, frustration boiling over. "If you go back, we might not make it out at all." He tugged at her arm again, desperation palpable in his grip. As they approached the front of the building, a deafening crash echoed through the corridors, rattling the foundations like a monstrous growl from the depths of the earth. Emma glanced back, catching a fleeting glimpse of the figure through voluminous clouds of dust and debris. It raised an arm, as if beckoning her deeper, further into the shadows that twisted around them. "Let us just go," she urged, but her voice was drowned by the roar of the now trembling structure. It felt alive, vibrating with revolutionary energy fueled by the secrets of years. Suddenly, the floor beneath them gave a sharp creak and, with another gut-wrenching bang, a doorway to their side swung open. The room beyond was awash in a sickly green glow, pulsating eerily with light that cut through the shadows. Emma's instincts kicked in, pulling her closer. The sensation of the key in her pocket thrashed against her thigh, as if it called out excitedly. "Jack!" she breathed, distracted by the forsaken glowing room. "We have to see what's in there." "Emma, this is insane!" Jack shouted, his eyes wide with fear, scanning for safety. But she was already stepping away from him, drawn to the glow, helpless to defend against the curiosity clawing at her edges. "Just one look," she whispered fervently to herself, biting her lip. Jack's protests faded as the glow beckoned her further forward into temptation. As she stepped through the threshold, the light enveloped her, making the shadows tremble away. The room was a treasure trove of relics, each one steeped in history and resonating with untold stories, and the sound of muffled voices echoed all around, leaving her breathless. Photographs of anguished faces bloomed from the walls, eyes pleading, mourning lost loves and forgotten truths. "Emma! Come back!" Jack's anxious voice broke through the tantalizing haze. "This isn't worth it." But the pulsating key grew fiery in response to the warmth of the room, illuminating her surroundings, the air thick with anticipation. One photograph, in particular, caught her eye, a picture of a family whose faces mirrored her own, looking strangely out of time. Beneath it lay a crumpled letter, the edges darkened by age. Tentatively, she reached for it. The instant her fingers touched the rough paper, a surge of energy shot through her, fierce and blinding. It was as if their pain, their stories linked to her present, intertwining the past and future. Then, the voices grew clearer, old chants, words straining against a sinister backdrop. "You must awaken the heart," they echoed. The command was urgent, unyielding, resounding deep within her, punctuated by Jack's increasingly frantic pleas. "Emma! We're out of time." The ground quaked again, sending shivers through her limbs. The room threatened to collapse as shadows crawled closer, and the air thickened with dread. She had crossed a line, treading on cursed ground. With her heart racing, Emma looked around. Was there truly a heart to uncover here? But she had to know. She had to understand, even if it meant plunging deeper into an abyss from which she might never escape. "Jack! We have to find the heart," she shouted back, determined. But even as she said it, unease flickered in her mind. What if they weren't the ones seeking the heart, but the heart was seeking them? And with a final, shuddering breath, she felt the realization that darkness was not just surrounding them, it was awakening to claim them. What awaited them in this heart of shadows? And would they be able to find their way out? Or was this merely the beginning of an unimaginable descent into chaos? The room trembled as Emma stood, heart pounding, feeling the shadows closing in. The letter she clutched whispered of pain, of loss, its thin paper frail against the weight of the truth it contained. "Find the heart" echoed in her mind, tangled in the whispers around her. She felt a burning desire to uncover what had been buried, but second-guessed her instinct. Was uncovering the heart of darkness a path towards salvation or destruction? "Emma! Please!" Jack's voice broke through the haze of urgency. The urgency in his voice yanked her back from the brink. She turned, faced with his wide, frightened eyes, pleading for escape. "This isn't just about us anymore. What if we're releasing something we can't control?" Emma's resolve wavered, uncertainty gnawing at her. "I need to know the truth, for all of us." She could feel the intensity of the situation pressing down, entwining her spirit with the darkness that loomed in the corners of this room. Suddenly, the figments of history that adorned the walls twisted in a whirlwind of shadows, flashes of anguished faces tormenting her vision. "You must awaken the heart." Filled the space, louder now, fusing with the storm's howl outside before plunging back into a haunting chant, echoing like an ancient ritual demanding acknowledgement. Realization crashed over Emma. These weren't just voices, they were beckoning her to reveal the layers of pain buried deep in Maplewood's soil. In that moment of clarity, she looked down at the key, glimmering faintly with ethereal energy. "We're not alone. They are here with us. Their voices want to be heard," she explained, quickly gathering courage. "They want us to find what was lost." Jack's conflicting emotions danced across his features, a powerful mix of fear and curiosity. A blinding flash suddenly erupted, blurring her vision and splaying the shadows against the walls. She staggered back, but a tremor trembled through the floor. The very fabric of the building threatened to crumble beneath them. Suddenly, the entire room shifted, revealing a passage obscured beneath layers of debris. With a swift exchange of glances, Emma and Jack knew instinctively it was a chance they couldn't ignore. They pressed forward through the passage, hearts pounding in sync, fueled by a blend of fear and desperate hope. The walls reverberated with ancient rhythms, pulling them deeper into the heart of Maplewood's buried treacheries. The inner chamber opened before them, glistening with an ethereal light that felt alive, surrounding them like a protective embrace. It pulsed gently, reflecting the key in Emma's hand. A pedestal stood at the center, its surface adorned with intricate carvings, a heart, a real, beating heart wrapped in darkness. Emma approached it, the key growing warm, buzzing against her palm. Was this really the heart of their mysteries, a source of power? Her gut twisted with a collision of fear and exhilaration. She could feel the history resonating here, an echo of every soul that had suffered. "What if this is what we're supposed to find?" she murmured, stepping closer. Jack hesitated at the edge, fear gripping him tight. "Emma, This doesn't feel right. We can't be here. I have to try, she insisted. And as Jennifer laid the key over the heart, a shockwave surged through the chamber, illuminating everything in bright flashes. Historical moments flashed vividly, pain spilling from the past like a storm unleashed. Snapshots of betrayal, familial ties severed, solemn faces crying out for recognition, each one rushing towards the surface all at once. No! Stop! The keeper's voice boomed through the room, a clamorous echo, sending tremors growing stronger. You cannot bear this truth. Turn back. Yet Emma found herself anchored in place, unable to retreat as whispers engulfed her. Fate is not mine to dictate. Only the past will decide. She shouted defiantly. The ground heaved, threatening to swallow them along with the secrets buried beneath. She felt Jack's grip tightening on her arm, the sheer force of the truth slamming into her, battering against her resolve. But suddenly, she realized something crucial. This wasn't about control. It was about acceptance. Accepting the truth to rewrite their fates had the potential to heal. With a fierce breath, she turned toward Jack, meeting his frightened gaze steady. Whatever happens, we face this together. He took a moment, uncertainty melting, before he nodded. Emma refocused on the heart. She pressed the key firmly against it, trembling fingers wrapping around the cold steel. In response to her touch, the heart pulsed wildly, light exploding outward in waves that enveloped them, drowning out the keeper's voice. The shadows recoiled, crying out in agony, and in that moment, Emma understood her ancestors, their pain, their legacy. It was not just a burden, but a strength waiting to be reclaimed. As the swirling light filled the chamber completely, fear was replaced by hope. Emma felt the warmth of her town, their spirits rejoicing around her, as she surrendered herself to the truth she had unlocked. Maplewood would heal. It would finally be freed from the chains that bound its history. Then silence came, wrapping them like a blanket. The air felt different, lighter, as if the very essence of the town breathed anew. Jack turned toward Emma, his eyes glistening with relief. Did we do it? Are they free? We did, Jack, she whispered, heart swelling. I think we did. As they stepped back out into the storm-soaked town, now washed of dark secrets and heavy burdens, the rain felt different, not a curse, but a cleansing. Maplewood had its heart restored, and now they could rebuild from the ashes of the past. Emma! Jack! They turned to see their neighbors, faces shining with disbelief and joy as they emerged from the shadows, united in their shared liberation. The festival lights sparked brighter than before, the warmth of community enveloping them like family. And just like that, the battle for history turned into a celebration of hope. Emma knew their story wouldn't end here. It was merely a new beginning. They had unearthed truths, faced their fears, and together they had emerged whole. Let us bring back the festival, Emma announced, her voice igniting the spirit around them. Jack grinned up at her, both of them no longer just survivors, but harbingers of change. Together, they would light the way forward, determined to honor the legacy of shared suffering with a festival of joy. For they had embraced their truth, and in doing so, transformed shadows into illuminated paths of healing and hope for all of Maplewood. The air buzzed with laughter as the community gathered to celebrate their newfound light. And in that moment, Emma knew they would redefine their history, hearts intertwined, forever rebuilding in unity. Thank you for joining Emma and Jack on this incredible journey of uncovering truth and change. Now, if you enjoyed this gripping conclusion, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that await. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. It makes such a difference for us, seriously. And flood the comments section with your reactions and theories. What did you think of the ending? What struck you most? Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support is vital, and only true fans know the importance of spreading the word. Let us keep the legacy of Maplewood alive.